Hey guys, today I am going to show you how to install, or not how to, but how I installed this eSpar D4 heater. So this is going to be the heater for my van build, um, and it's basically a small furnace that burns diesel fuel. So you can tap into the existing tank on your Sprinter van and use it to heat. And so there's a couple of different models. I know a lot of people use the eSpar D2. I went with the D4 purely because I found a good deal on a used one. It was about half the price of a new one and a third the price of a new one. And it came with everything to install it. So it was somebody else that had it installed in their Sprinter van and took it out. It got rid of the van, took the heater out, and took everything associated with it. So I'm not sure how this relates to a new one and how much of the stuff is the same, but I'm pretty sure this is basically what will come in a kit if you buy a new one. I don't have it hasn't come in the mail yet, the intake for it or the exhaust muffler. I do have the exhaust pipe that will need to get installed, but not the intake. Right now, I'm just wiring this in temporarily so that I can heat while I'm building the rest of the van over the course of next week. Because it's quite cold out. It's in the 20s here in northern Michigan at the end of November. So, yeah. So the wiring isn't permanent. I will change that to the auxiliary power later on. So put together some clips for you and kind of showcase what I did. Hope you like it. So the first step here was to remove the driver's seat. That was pretty simple, and there's just 6 bolts that hold it in. All pretty easy to access. Alrighty, so what we have going on here is, as you saw, I pulled the passenger seat out. Now I have the heater here. This is the eSpar D4. And I'm going to use this, which goes on here, a little rubber gasket, as a template. So I'm going to draw this out on the floor and then drill my holes. Unfortunately, I don't have all of this space to work with because the frame rail is right under here and the exhaust is pretty close over on this side. So the hole will have to go onto this side. There's some sound deadening here that I'll have to drill through, but that's not a big deal. So it'll sit somewhere, right about there. And yeah, there's these through bolts that mount the whole thing to the floor, so it'll stay stationary. Yeah, I think that's about it. Let's get to it. First step of drilling these holes was to mark the centers using a punch, and then I drilled a pilot hole first just with a regular drill bit, and then I used the appropriate size hole saw. I'm not sure what that was. I think it was about an inch hole saw to drill the holes for the intake and exhaust, and then I also used just regular straight drill bit to drill the holes for the bolts. Alright, so got the heater installed in here. Well, not installed, but the holes drilled for it. So let me pull it back out. It's a pretty tight fit. Alrighty, so you can see what I've done here is drilled the holes for the intake and exhaust, the fuel, and then 4 holes for the bolts. I'm pretty happy that I got it to fit the first try. That rarely happens for me. So now the next step is I need to clean all this up and then actually bolt it in there, and then I can run the fuel line and the power. So I'll show you how we do that. Luckily on these Sprinter vans, all the electronics are underneath the driver's seat. So I use the same method is pulling the passenger seat. Just pulled the 6 Allen head bolts out. And then all the electronics are right there. It took a little bit to kind of make sense of what was going on. It looked like just a big rat's nest at first. And after looking on some forums, I discovered that there is a small little bus bar that's used by upfitters. So I connected to get the power. As you can tell, it is a new day based on the snow, but I got the furnace all hooked up. You can hear it there. It sounds like a jet engine about to take off. I don't have the exhaust or anything put on it yet. Well, let me show you what we've done here. So I got it mounted in here. Got the carpet cut to put, not carpet, but like insulation, cut that. I haven't cleaned up any of these wires yet because I kind of need to know where the final routing of everything is going to be. This is the little controller right here. And so you can change the set temperature. You know, this is the hottest. That's supposed to be around, what did they say? 34 degrees Celsius. And then if you go all the way down to the coldest, that's supposed to be 8 degrees Celsius. You can also just put it in fan mode, which doesn't heat but still circulates air. So I've had it on heater mode, and it is quite nice in here actually. Had it running for about 20-30 minutes, and over on this side I cut a hole in the seat back, and then this is going through there, and this is a little vent that came with it. This isn't the final mounting for any of this, and or not any of it, but for this I'm gonna add some other stuff, and I'm gonna have an air intake that comes and probably ducts air from up in the ceiling up here and has a tube that goes down. That way I'm pulling hot air from the ceiling and using this as also a circulator that will circulate the air throughout the van. Let me show you what I've done underneath. So there's the intake and exhaust right there, and this is the fuel line that's connected to the fuel pump. Then this fuel pump is getting its fuel from this line that is routed up and over the top of this heat shield and comes to over here. You can see that. So right there, I teed that fuel line in with the existing fuel line and fuel pump that go to the auxiliary coolant heater that's installed on this. Now, some vans have it, some of them don't, I think, based on what I've read on the internet. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Get out of here. The wiring, I ran under the floor there over to the electrical box. I can show you what we did over there. And this is not the final mounting or the final wiring, because this will eventually get wired into an auxiliary power system. But right now we got it wired right here. There's this little bus bar that's got a couple of studs on it that you can run wires to. So that is controlled by this fuse number 15, which is, if you look at your power, that's a body manufactured terminal. So there's a 30, a 15, and this D+. So yeah, that's that. So now I can get to work in here doing other stuff. And it's, you know, as you can tell, snowing, and it's gonna, hopefully it'll stay nice and warm in here for me to work. So that's the goal. I'll show you guys the final mounting of all of this stuff once it's done, but this is basically the majority of it. yeah, that's about that. Thanks for watching.